The 1.5 anniversary event will come with a free ticket to pick any support card up to the Summer Martinsky speed card banner. And there will be so much option to pick from, so we will be looking at it. Starting from the speed cards, I'll be ranking the cards in these forms of tier lists, and we will go for each type of cards. Standing at the very top of the speed card is the newly released Summer Martinsky speed card, and also Kita-san Black as per usual. Summer Merzinski is probably one of the best speed card that you can grab from the anniversary ticket. This card is just that good, and especially if you are a frontrunner player. The main reason this card is so strong is that not only for its very good training effects, but also the card hints that it provides. If you open the skill hints tab of this card provides just every frontrunner hints in the world, starting from the middle like speed skill, early game speed skill, starting acquisition skill as well, like groundwork even. It's all you ever wanted in a card as a frontrunner player. The gold skill that this card provides as well, Top Runner, is a very good middle-like speed skill that is very easy to activate if you run two frontrunners as they will compete with each other anyway. The best thing this card provides that most of the other SSR cards doesn't have is that this card performs really well at low limit break. Here is a comparison of a training side by side in Unity Cup of a Marusensky support card at Silver LB versus Kitasan Black at max limit break. As you can see, it doesn't lag behind in terms of speed training result. Heck, even at 1 LB, this card outperforms Kitasan Black trainings already. If you take a look at the comparison of the limit break from the card itself, you can see the huge spikes are at 1 limit break and 3 limit break. 1 LB is where you get a power bonus. This is a very good stopping point if you are a low spender or free-to-play players. The Marasensky card gains 15% mood bonus. It's the second huge upgrade for the card in terms of training effect. The jump from 3LB to MLB is another 15% mood effect, but doesn't really significantly change the training's effects too much. If you are maining front runners and you still don't have this card, it is a no-brainer option to pick for because this card is just too good even at lower LB. However, the same cannot be said if you are running other styles. If you are, let's say, maining Pace Chaser, Late Surger, or Encloser, this card loses a lot of value when running in your deck, because the hints and the gold skill legit provides nothing meaningful to your Uma. It is just a static card in your deck, and a lot of cards can fill this role. If you want to grab Summer Mario 0LB but you are running other style that is not Front Runner, you better just save the ticket and use it for other SSR card. Because, for example here, Shiptosho SR card at MLB also performs just as good and gives you an SP bonus on top of it. Next up, the recommended card on the S tier is of course Kitasan Black. By this point, if you played umamusume since the start of the game, this card has been recommended more times than I could remember. Legit every content creator has been recommending it since the dawn of time. Most of you guys will probably have this card at MLB already, but for those of you who are new player and just started with the 1.5 anniversary and doesn't have this card is just that good. The reason this card is really strong is not because it has a broken training effect whatsoever, it is simply because the very high specialty priority that this card have that most other cards don't have. This card at MLB comes with 100 specialty priority, and this will in result makes your Kita-san Black appear more in the speed training than other cards. As a result, you will naturally get a higher speed by the end of the career. Kita-san also have one of the best middle leg speed gold skill, which is Professor of Curvature. However, the only downside of this card is simply the restriction of limit breaks. This card only gets the specialty priority starting from 3 limit break upwards. So at 2 limit break and below, this card is just a normal speed card and doesn't really stand out in the speed section. It doesn't really outperform most of the speed card as well because the training is well just average. This is also pretty bad, assuming that you are a newer player, because you will be stuck with only low limit break Kitasan, and it's simply not worth it to pick Kitasan for the sake of it. You will gain more value getting Summer Marzensky at 0LB if you plan for the short-term investing in the cards. However, if you plan on dumping all the resources for Kitasan Black, that is the story rainbow crystals and future tickets as well, she might still be worth considering. Also note that There is really no Kitasan Black Banner rerun anymore, so the only chance you can MLB this card mostly is by random card spooks, crystals, and just this tickets exchange. So it's a dire situation for the newer players. If your Kitasan is at 2LB or 3LB, and it's pretty easy to decide this because it's the most value you can get out of the ticket for a speed card. Alright, I've been yapping too much, and we've only been discussing two cards by this point. I'll try to give the general ideas for the less important cards so we do not end up with an hour long video. Moving into the A tier list, we have the new Taiki Shell speed card. This card is a mall distance only speed card and it's pretty good if you want to build a solid mall distance deck. The card itself gives you a bunch of mall distance hints alongside its gold skill, Mall Maven. Mall Maven is very good specifically for the fronts and page chaser. If we take a look at the training effects and limit break side, this card has an appealing 2 speed bonus and 1 SP bonus even at 0 LP. However, the lack of training effectiveness and mood effect combined with its low friendship bonus makes this card still lacking in strong training department. It gets a little boost at 1LB with a power bonus, and it becomes a pretty decent card at 3LB and MLB where it gets the training effectiveness that it's missing. However, we'll most likely just run this card for the mall hints, so it's either a card borrow at MLB or just leave it at 0LB or 1LB for the hints and using it as a filler card. It's still a solid option if you do not know what to pick and want to help your mall distance deck. The next card is Fugukitaru Speed card, the savior of Trailblazer. This card kinds of fall off in Grand Life scenario, but it's still usable to a certain extent as a filler card. It's a pretty straightforward card that gives you a bunch of stats at the start and act like a friend card in disguise. This card also has the problem of requiring high limit break, so if you want to get it at 0LB, just forget about this card. The comparison for 0LB and MLB is like 50 stats compared to 150 stats at MLB, so you effectively lose roughly about 100 stats in total, and that's definitely bad. The race bonus really doesn't matter too much anymore because it is not Trailblazer scenario, so 3LB is no longer the stopping point, so the card is usable even at lower LB. But this doesn't mean that the card itself is that great at lower LB. Only grab this if you are like a copy of from MLB, as you could potentially see some use of it in the Grand Life scenario, or even if you love Trailblazer and Unity for parent farming, as it's a pretty good card overall. This card is still definitely highly used in the old scenario that is the Unity Cup for its scenario link and Trailblazer for its ease of the early races. Next on the list we have the Maya Speed card. Maya Speed card is also a decent card if you are a frontrunner player and you need a gold recovery skill. This is mostly used only for long distance track. The card itself is pretty good and it provides the Restless Gold skill. The training effects doesn't really improve much from 0LB to MLB. The noticeable jump are 1LB, where it gets a power bonus and a huge specialty priority at 3LB and MLB. This is pretty much the same case as Kitasan Black. However, I still think the main reason you want to run this card is for the Restless Gold skill, and it's worth it to even pick this card at 0LB just for the recovery skill if you are a frontrunner player. This will let you free up the borrow slot and use another card instead. Bakushin and Biko are both good sprint cards. They are mostly there just for stat sticks. The old cards all pretty much suffer the same fate that you needed to be high limit break to really perform. These cards are only to be picked if you are already nearing to MLBing the card itself, otherwise just stay away from picking this card. You can slot this card as speed stat stick because regardless at MLB, they still perform decently fine even without providing good hints. On the B tier list, we have Seeking the Pearl. This card is a sprint distance speed card. We also have Narita Top Road. This card is another stat stick speed card that has high training effectiveness at 0LB. It doesn't really differ much to Summer Marcensky in terms of being a stat stick at 0LB. Therefore, if you want a better stat stick regardless of the style, you're better off just running Summer Marcensky, because Summer Marcensky can give you 25% training effectiveness, while Narita Top Road only gives you 20%. Summer Maru is also gonna be a more relevant card and will help you in the future if you want to transition into a frontrunner player. Kawakami Princess is a team trials card because this card gives you center stage, The limit break for this card is not required to be discussed as its sole purpose is just to give you the gold skill. So even at 0 LB, this card is already doing its job and there's really no need further to pursue higher limit break for this card. Plus, we also have Gold City, the card that gives you the Keen Eye Gold skill. This skill is pretty good for building the buffers, however, you can also just borrow this card at the end of the day, so there's that. I'm just going to skip the C and the tier list as it's not even worth discussing the cards. So after the speed, we have the stamina section. The stamina card tier list is as follows, and you might be confused seeing the tier list being this empty. Yes, the only card worth considering from this is just Super Creep. You'll only run one stamina card in your deck, and 99% of the time, it's Super Quick. The reason is that we only run stamina cards on longer distance track, sometimes medium, but mostly long distance track, and that is because we need stamina. Super Quick complies with all that and even gives you Swinging Maestro on top of it, being the best gold recovery skill in the game. The other stamina cards doesn't really come close to Super Quick yet in terms of being an actual stamina card. However, Super Quick also suffers the same fate as the older cards where you need 3 LB upwards to have an easier time using this card. This is because it only gets initial friendship gauge starting from 3 LB. This is an insane game-changing effect when playing the career. You will need to click roughly 6 more trainings to reach Rainbow Training if this card is 2 LB or below, compared to when this card is at MLB with its 30 initial friendship gauge. Despite all that, if you need a stamina card, this card is still your best bet. You can slowly invest in it. Super Quick will only get power creep with the release of Sound of Earth stamina card, which is still like over a year from now. Also, when I say power creep here, it doesn't mean that Super Creep becomes obsolete and unusable. This card will perform just fine, and it's still definitely a usable stamina card. I also put Symbolic Rudolph here in the tier list, but she's just there as a debuffer card. The only option for stamina debuffing is pretty much this card and the with our version of it. It's a very specific niche use case if you rather have some more stamina than wit when building your debuffers. Moving on to the power card section, we actually have 4 cards for this that I would really recommend. On the A tier is Jaino Muteki and El Condor Pasa power card, and on the B tier it's Taiwa Scarlet power card and the Roy Shower power card. Yaino Muteki is a really strong hidden power card. This is because the card itself provides you with a lot of middle leg speed skill like ramp up, prepare to pass, up tempo, and tail held high. The strongest point of this card is also on MLB, it provides you with 4 hidden levels. This makes it very easy to get all these skill hints from this card because every hint that you get from this card is at level 5. And at level 5, you don't get repeated skill hints. This makes it easier to get all your skill hints. And looking at the training effects itself, this card is a pretty decent power card at MLB. Looking at the lower LB of this card doesn't really lose much of the training effectiveness, but it loses a lot on the hint levels, which makes what this card is really good as a power card. It also has the same issue with 1 LB, 2 LB, and 3 LB because you still get 2 or 3 hint levels from the card, and that means you will still get level 3 hints or level 4 hints when you hit the red exclamation mark when training with this card. This is a major problem as you can get the same hint repeatedly, and you will need to prune the hints or basically just take the skill at level 3 or level 4 hints, which is a disadvantage for your skill points in general. So in my opinion, Yaino Muteki is really an MLB card or bust. Yaino Mudeki is pretty much just a skill hand card. It's a generalist power card that you can pretty much use in every deck and works for every style runner. And this card also provides you with one of the best gold middle leg speed skill, which is It's On. Next on the list, we have El Condor Pasa power card. El Condor Pasa power card is a really good medium power card because it gives you the Killer Tune gold skill for the medium distance. Training effects from this card is pretty good in general. The second defense chain also helps a lot with energy management because it gives you 30 energy for free. Looking at the limit break comparison itself, at 0 LB, this card already performs pretty good. At 1 LB, it gets a pretty huge upgrade, which is the power bonus, and it will get training effectiveness on 3 LB and MOB. We're seeing a lot of common pattern here with the old cards where it gets a pretty huge upgrade on 3 LB and upwards. This doesn't really differ for the El Conor Pasa card. So if you want to take a discard, definitely consider if you have a high LB of this card already or not, because getting it at 0 LB is not really worth it most of the time. Next up on the list, we have the Daiwa Scarlet Power card. This card is pretty much a pace chaser lock card because of the gold skill, neck and neck that we want. This is the gold version of Head On, and it's like the pace chaser version of On Your Left for late surger. It's a gambling acceleration skill source, and it's pretty good for pace chaser overall. We pretty much will only run this card for pace chaser. If you are running other stalls, just forget about getting this card. Looking at the training's effect itself of this card, at 0 LB, this card is already pretty good. At 1 LB, it gets a massive upgrade of a stamina bonus. 2 LB, 3 LB, and 4 LB only gives you a little bit of increase overall, and it gives you an initial power. So Daiwa's current power card is already really good at 0 LB and 1 LB. The stopping point is definitely 1 LB for this card if you want to grab it with a ticket. It is a nice source of another acceleration skill if you are running a pace chaser. Lastly, we also have Rush Hour Power Card. Rush Hour Power Card is here if you do not want to invest in Super Creek, or you already have a Rush Hour at a very high LB and you are nearing the MLB. That's really the only scenario because Super Creek and Rush Hour is the only source of Swinging Maestro, and you will either run a Super Creek or Rush Hour. And it's definitely your choice, but a lot of people are more comfortable with running a stamina card instead of a power card if you are running in a long distance. The purpose of both of these cards is the same, they just provide you with Swinging Maestro. Moving into the Guts card section, I don't really recommend you picking any Guts card because they are just not really that good. Some of the Guts cards that are usable are Sakura Bakshin O and Manjiro Ryan Guts card. The only card I really recommend is probably Sakura Bakshin O. This card is a really good card for the sprint card. I'm pretty sure some of you already have used it as well to train for your front runners for your next CM. The reason being, this card provides you with a lot of sprint hints from the skill hints, and it also provides you with groundwork from the first event chain, which is really nice for the front runners, and it also gives you in high spirit, which is a good gold speed skill for the sprint distance. However, outside of sprint distance, this card loses a lot of value, and it's definitely not worth running in the deck. If you take a look at the training effect of this card, we're seeing a lot of better patterns where they start to improve the quality of life of the players, and that is the 0 LB and 1 LB of the card is pretty much usable at this point, and 1 LB is also the stopping point for this card where it gets a guts bonus. At 3 LB, it gets a little bit of initial guts and gets a little bit of bonus in friendship bonus, mood effect, and trainings overall, but it's definitely not that much. The other card is Major Orion Guts card. I put this card here because it has one of the pretty decent gold skill which is unyielding that gives you acceleration and target speed on the medium distance track if you are trying to be overtaken on the final corner. This is a pretty good gambling acceleration skill where it can pop off on certain times. However, being an old card itself also comes with a problem. As we can see, it only gets initial friendship gauge at 3 LB and upwards, the same case as Stamina Super Creek. Therefore, do not bother with this card unless you can get it to 3 LB or MLB. Which section is actually one of the most competitive to decide what cards you want to spend the ticket on. Pretty much there's so many good wit cards in these, and let's discuss each of them. First of all, on the S tier, it will be Mr. CB. This card is an auto pick if you're an encloser main. It gives you one of the best gold skill for an encloser, which is Daring Strike. It also gives you access to one of the most desirable skill hint for encloser, that is the Straightaway Spurt. Arguably, this card is already really good for training as well on 0 LB. From 0 limit break to 1 LB, you get your first significant upgrade, which is an additional wit bonus. And the next major upgrade is the mood bonus at 3LB and upwards. This is really similar to Summer Morisensky, where unlocking 3LB will give you the mood effect. It's nothing really major in terms of training effect itself, therefore, even at 1LB, this card is already really amazing and really strong in terms of training effectiveness. However, since it is with card, missing out on MLB loses you on 2 with energy recovery per rainbow click, which can add up over time. Definitely go all the way to MLB if you can for this card and if you main an end closer. Next, we also have Fine Motion. This card has been said to be like the king of generalist Wit card. It is even better if you are maining Pace Chaser. That is because it has one of the best gold speed skill for Pace, which is Speed Star. The really nice thing about this card is as well, it already has really strong training effects at lower LB. Similar to Mississippi, this fine motion card is totally usable at 0 LB or even at 1 LB after it gets the wit bonus. Of course, it gets better at 3 LB and upwards, where it gets the extra mood bonus. We will also be getting a rerun banner for Fine Motion and Summer Marsensky in about a month or so, and if you are a new player, this is a really nice place to get Summer Maru, which is one of the best frontrunner card at the moment, and one of the best with card as well to MLB, that is Fine Motion itself. Next, we have Nice Nature. This card, contrary to the popular beliefs where you need 3 LB and MLB to perform really well, actually performs pretty decent being only at 1 LB. People ran this card because it has a really high race bonus that is 15% at MLB. However, on Grand Life scenario where we aren't racing as much, this doesn't become the core value of what the card provides anymore. Now, I would definitely say that every card that is not MLB always perform worse than its MLB version, but it's not that bad for this nice natured card. One of the main reasons for picking this card is the On Your Left Gold skill that it provides. This skill is buffed and it's now a more reliable gambling execution skill for the late Sager style. So, to be honest, for the S tier with card, it's pick your poison of the style you are maining and you want to play. If you are maining a Pace Chaser, then definitely grab Prime Motion. If you are maining Late Surger, then grab Nice Nature. If you are maining an Encloser, then grab Mr. CB. It is also to be noted that these S tier cards perform as good even without considering their gold skill and MLB. So you can use them as pillar with card in your decks. They are still better than running SR cards most of the time. If you want to min-max on the sprint distance aptitude, then Wit Card is a really good option as well. This card provides you with perfect prep, a gambling acceleration gold skill, on top of being a good card overall. Although, please note that this card is only usable from 3 LB and upwards because it only gets the initial friendship gauge starting from 3 limit break. Lastly, Serious Symbolic Wit Card is also a good option if you like playing the medium distance CM for late surger and encloser. The skill from the Bring that this card provides technically also gets buffed alongside the kind of on your left. This is a gambling assertion skill for the backliners in medium distance. I think 1LB is a good stopping point if you don't want to invest too much on this card. At 3LB and upwards, you get a race bonus and a little bit of training effects here and there, but it's not a game changer. Nakayama Festa is also a pretty decent wit card for late surger. It's not a bust option, but it can give you overall late surger hints, and a pretty good cold skill, I think Fanshirt, that drains your stamina for more speed. I wouldn't go out of my way to getting this card. It's pretty much get if you somehow rolled the Summer Maru banner and you got a lot of this card copies just lying around and nearing LB. That also includes you loving both the frontrunner and late surger style, then it's quite justifiable to get this card. Alright, that's it for the 1.5 anniversary exchange ticket recommendation. I hope watching this video helps you in determining which support card you are going for with your current deck inventory and which playstyle fits you the best. If you have any question as well, you can join the Doordeal Discord server link in the description and ask me there. As always, thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.